why you're addicted to the struggle and how to break free. So have you ever noticed that every time things start going well, something stops the brakes, something pulls you in? So many people are unconsciously addicted to struggle. They don't even know that they are addicted to struggle. So by the end of this audio, you will see different patterns and how you can start to shift these patterns easily. My name's Alex Morgan, and I help you align your actions, your beliefs, your dreams, and your thinking so that you can create success. And success is here, and you might as well be ready for it. One of the easiest ways to be ready for it is to program your mind for success and get rid of that struggle. So a lot of times our identity, it's formed around effort, survival. Things have to be hard. We have to hustle. We have to grind. Things don't have to be this way. You don't actually have to struggle. In fact, listen to this. Whatever you have to do in the physical is compensating for what you should have done in your unconscious mind. So all the struggles that you have now, yes, you'll still have to take action. Yes, you'll still have to work. I'm not saying you don't have to put any effort in the physical. But if you find yourself having to struggle more and work harder now and you can't break free, it's because you haven't probably put certain work into your unconscious mind. It's pretty interesting, isn't it? So this identity that I'm talking about, it causes internalized beliefs. Some people think, well, if it's not hard, then it's not going to be worth it. If it's not hard, then success would be so easy. I don't deserve success unless I suffer for it. Easy, things that are easy, means I'm lazy. When I struggle, that means I really care. So what if I could tell you that instead of having beliefs and thoughts like this, that unconsciously cause you to be addicted to the struggle, what if you could break free? What if you could do something instead? So you can start to put the effort in your mind. So all this programming that you already have, that you have to struggle, it's not real. This is a reality that was created years and years and years ago. You heard someone struggle, you saw someone struggle, you felt someone struggle when you were a child. Maybe it was your parents, your grandparents, teachers, friends, whoever. You saw them struggle, and you thought that you had to struggle to get success. And this is imprinted in your mind. So you can start to take control now. Because if you take control of your mind, struggle won't be familiar. Rewarding yourself, achieving success will be familiar. So a lot of people, when they're struggling, this is normal for them. They get stressed, things are chaotic, they have anxiety. Staying in struggle, though, helps them feel like they're actually in control. Or maybe they get things like empathy, sympathy, or validation from people. Or maybe this helps them avoid things like vulnerability or visibility. They don't have to be seen as much. Well, the more you do that and the more you struggle, the harder it's going to be to get rid of. Interesting, right? Because people who struggle probably think that they have to work hard. But the more you struggle, the harder it is to get rid of things. Now, before I learned a lot of things about personal development, I was going bankrupt in 2017. And I used to stay up at night. I would think about how much money I had. I would think about how hard I was going to work. And then eventually, I had a failed relationship, and I moved back home. I was living in another state. I'm from California, and I was living in Arizona at the time. And I went home, and I was like, I need to find someone who can help me help myself. Because I was trying to do it consciously, and I couldn't figure out what I had to change. So I went on a hike nearby my house. It was about 5-6 miles. Had a nice view at the top. So I hiked to the top. Everything was fine. I was, cascading over some boulders. There's a nice flat part where you do that. Then you kind of hike up the mountain. And then when I was coming down, I just broke down. And it was like, I need help. I have to do something about this. I need to break free. I've spent, I don't know, at the time I was probably 32. Yeah, I think I was 32. So I had spent 32 years struggling. And that struggle, I would mask that struggle. I would numb that struggle with relationships that I thought were good. They weren't. I would mask that struggle with drinking. By that time, I had quit drinking, but for so many years, instead of putting a bet on myself, I was drinking. Or I was masking it with gambling. So instead of putting a bet on myself, I would bet on something else. So I thought, how can I break free? So when I decided to break free, I decided personally to learn hypnosis. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to learn hypnosis. I'm not telling you that you have to learn hypnosis, and I'm not suggesting that you have to learn hypnosis. What I'm saying is there's going to be easier ways for you to break the pattern than you've been trying to do it consciously, because that's what I was doing. I was trying to break it consciously. And not only was that leading to me struggling more, it was leading to me having high blood pressure, having stress. I had to deal with negative emotions. So you need to understand that you need to interrupt the cycle right now and in the future. Any time that you notice that you're working so hard or you're struggling, you need to break that up and say, look, what I'm doing is easy. I'm enjoying it. You need to rest. You need to focus on your breath. You need to align yourself with success. Redefine success in your mind. What does success mean to you? What is important to you about success? I guarantee you, when you ask yourself that question, what is important to you about success, you're going to get a bunch of words from the unconscious mind, and none of them are going to be suffering, working hard. None of them. They may be things like freedom, money, joy, flow, fulfillment, recognition, excellence, happiness, peace, giving, receiving, wonderful relationships, family. So notice what words come up, and these words are going to come up from your unconscious mind just by asking yourself that question. What is important to me about success? This will help you break the pattern. The other thing that's going to help you break the pattern is you can ask yourself, when did you decide to create this struggle? Because at some point, you were either taught this or you decided to create it. Like I said, I used to stay up all night thinking about money, thinking about struggling, why I was struggling, all these things. I hadn't accepted responsibility that I was the one who created it. So I thought, I need to go somewhere. I need to have someone help me so I can help myself. So when did you decide to create the struggle? Because at some point, your unconscious mind installed this pattern as a habit. It's there. It's programmed in your mind. So to get rid of it, you can tell yourself, what do I want to do instead? What can you learn from it? So what can you do instead? What's going to be something that you haven't considered before that you can do instead so you won't struggle anymore? Because you don't need to struggle at all. Why would you want to? That's how you have to think about this. So if you interrupt that cycle when you notice you're struggling and you ask yourself those questions, you're not actually bypassing effort. You're releasing unnecessary struggle. So reflect on an area where you're addicted to struggle and you know you're really struggling, and find out when you decided to create that and what you can do instead. And just notice over the next few hours, the next few days, choosing to do things that are easy and telling yourself to do things that are easy. And become aware of and notice what begins to change. You may find your whole reality changes around you, all because you gave yourself permission to not struggle, and you decided that you want things to be easy. Thanks so much for listening. Definitely share this with someone who will benefit, because we don't need the whole world struggling out there. We can all get success in a much easier way. And if you want to do that and work with me, definitely reach out. All my information is in the description of the audio. If you haven't already, go ahead and like the audio and subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate everyone who's been subscribing lately. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope to see you on the next video or the next audio.